Air pollution remains one of the most pressing environmental challenges facing the world today. Among the various pollutants, microscopic particulate matter, specifically PM2.5 and PM10, serves as a crucial indicator of air quality. These tiny particles, often invisible to the naked eye, can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream, posing serious health risks. The World Health Organization has established safety thresholds for these pollutants, recommending that annual average concentrations of PM2.5 should not exceed 5 micrograms per cubic meter. However, many urban centers around the globe regularly report levels far above this limit. Monitoring and controlling particulate matter is essential for safeguarding public health and ensuring a cleaner environment for future generations. Across the globe, certain regions consistently rank among the most polluted, with South Asian cities standing out as epicenters of air quality crises. In cities like Delhi, Lahore, and Dhaka, levels of microscopic particulate matter, known as PM2.5 and PM10, often soar to values many times higher than the safe thresholds set by the World Health Organization. During winter months, Delhi's air quality can deteriorate to hazardous levels, with PM2.5 concentrations exceeding 500 micrograms per cubic meter, more than 100 times the recommended limit. Lahore faces similar challenges, as industrial emissions and stagnant weather patterns trap dangerous pollutants close to the ground. Dhaka's rapid urbanization and industrial activity contribute to frequent episodes of unhealthy air, impacting millions of residents. Major Chinese cities, such as Linfen, have also struggled with severe particulate pollution, though recent efforts have led to some improvements. These conditions pose significant risks to public health, increasing rates of respiratory illness and reducing life expectancy in affected populations. Delhi frequently experiences severe air quality crises, especially during the winter months when pollution levels soar to hazardous levels. The primary sources of this pollution include vehicle emissions, industrial activity, construction dust, and the widespread burning of agricultural stubble in neighboring states. These factors contribute to dangerously high concentrations of particulate matter, often exceeding safe thresholds by many times. As a result, residents face a dramatic increase in respiratory illnesses such as asthma, bronchitis, and lung infections. Children are particularly vulnerable, with many at risk of permanent lung damage. According to health studies, air pollution in Delhi is linked to thousands of premature deaths each year, underscoring the urgent need for effective interventions to protect public health. Lahore, Pakistan, faces a persistent smog problem that intensifies during the winter months. The city's air is frequently laden with dangerous levels of PM2.5, a microscopic particulate matter that poses serious health risks. Contributing factors include rapid industrialization, vehicle emissions, and limited wind flow, which prevent pollutants from dispersing. During peak periods, PM2.5 concentrations can exceed 200 micrograms per cubic meter, far surpassing safe limits set by international health organizations. This hazardous air quality leads to widespread respiratory illnesses, including asthma and bronchitis, and increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases. Each year, approximately 128,000 people in Pakistan die from conditions related to air pollution, underscoring the urgent need for effective mitigation strategies. The ongoing smog crisis in Lahore exemplifies the broader environmental and public health challenges faced by urban centers across the region. Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, faces severe air pollution challenges driven by rapid urbanization and unplanned city growth. Industrial emissions, particularly from brick kilns and factories, contribute significantly to the city's deteriorating air quality. Construction activities and an aging fleet of vehicles further exacerbate the problem, releasing large amounts of particulate matter into the atmosphere. As a result, the air quality index in Dhaka frequently falls into the very unhealthy or hazardous categories, posing serious risks to public health. Residents are increasingly vulnerable to respiratory illnesses, asthma, and other chronic conditions linked to prolonged exposure to polluted air. The situation underscores the urgent need for effective urban planning and stricter environmental regulations to protect the well-being of millions living in Dhaka. Industrial pollution refers to the contamination of air, water, and soil resulting from the activities of factories and manufacturing plants. Over decades, both past and ongoing industrial operations have left a lasting mark on the environment, creating what is often called a toxic legacy. In many cities, the release of hazardous chemicals, heavy metals, and other pollutants has led to severe environmental degradation. These pollutants can persist in ecosystems for generations, affecting not only the natural world, but also human health. The consequences are evident in regions where industrial waste has poisoned rivers, destroyed vegetation, and contaminated soil. Such enduring disasters highlight the urgent need for effective pollution control and remediation efforts to protect communities and restore damaged environments. Norilsk, Russia, stands as a stark example of the environmental toll exacted by heavy industry. Home to the world's largest nickel, palladium, and copper smelting facilities, the city releases immense quantities of sulfur dioxide and heavy metals into the atmosphere each year. These emissions have led to widespread acid rain, destroying local vegetation and contaminating soil and water resources with toxic elements such as nickel, copper, and cadmium. The Daldikan River, once the site of a dramatic pipeline leak that turned its waters red, remains heavily polluted and hazardous to local ecosystems. Residents of Norilsk face significantly higher rates of respiratory diseases and cancer, with average life expectancy up to a decade below the Russian national average. The legacy of industrial pollution continues to shape both the landscape and the health of those who live in this remote Arctic city. Linfen, China, was once notorious as one of the most polluted cities in the world, largely due to its coal mining and chemical industries. In the early 2000s, air pollution was so severe that residents reported their laundry turning black within hours, and PM 2.5 levels frequently exceeded 700 micrograms per cubic meter. Recognizing the crisis, the Chinese government implemented aggressive measures, including closing coal-fired power plants and modernizing industrial facilities. These interventions have led to significant improvements in air quality, making daily life more bearable for Linfen's residents. However, the region still grapples with the toxic legacy of its industrial past. Soil and water resources remain contaminated, and rates of respiratory diseases and cancer are higher than average in former mining areas. Linfen's story highlights both the potential for environmental recovery and the enduring consequences of unchecked industrial pollution. Inadequate waste management remains a critical issue in many developing countries, where insufficient infrastructure often results in the widespread contamination of water resources. Without proper systems for collecting and treating solid waste and sewage, rivers and lakes become repositories for industrial chemicals, heavy metals, and domestic refuse. The Citarum River in Indonesia, for example, is heavily polluted by effluents from thousands of textile factories and the waste of millions of residents, posing severe health risks to local communities. Similarly, the Yamuna River in Delhi receives vast quantities of untreated wastewater, leading to dangerously high biological oxygen demand levels that devastate aquatic life. These conditions not only threaten the environment but also contribute to the spread of diseases and undermine public health. Addressing these challenges requires significant investment in waste management infrastructure and the implementation of sustainable practices. The Citarum River Basin in Indonesia is widely recognized as one of the most polluted waterways in the world, serving as a primary water source for over 15 million people. The river is heavily contaminated by industrial chemicals, heavy metals, and plastic waste, much of which originates from thousands of textile factories and dense urban settlements along its banks. Lead concentrations in the river have been measured at levels up to 1,000 times higher than international drinking water standards. This pollution has devastated local fisheries, poisoned agricultural lands, and led to widespread health issues such as skin diseases, cancer, and digestive disorders among nearby communities. In response, the Indonesian government launched the Citarum Harum cleanup project in 2018, aiming to restore the river over 7 years. However, progress has been slow, and the basin continues to pose serious risks to both human health and the environment. The Yamuna River, flowing through Delhi, faces a severe pollution crisis, largely driven by the discharge of untreated wastewater from the city. This influx of contaminants has led to alarmingly high levels of biological oxygen demand, often far exceeding the threshold necessary to sustain aquatic life. As a result, the river's ecosystem has been devastated, with most forms of aquatic life unable to survive in these conditions. The polluted waters also pose significant health risks to nearby residents, including increased rates of waterborne diseases and exposure to toxic substances. Despite awareness of the issue, effective solutions have been slow to materialize, leaving the Yamuna in a critical state. The ongoing crisis highlights the urgent need for improved waste management and robust pollution control measures to restore the river and protect public health. The escalating pollution crises in regions like Delhi, Norilsk, and the Citarum River Basin highlight the urgent necessity for robust pollution control measures and sustainable waste management practices. Without decisive action, millions remain exposed to hazardous air and water, resulting in severe health consequences such as respiratory diseases, cancer, and shortened life expectancy. The persistence of untreated industrial emissions, inadequate sewage systems, and improper waste disposal continues to degrade local ecosystems and threaten public well-being. Implementing comprehensive policies, investing in cleaner technologies, and strengthening enforcement are critical steps toward reversing environmental damage. Only through coordinated efforts can these regions hope to restore air and water quality, safeguard human health, and ensure a sustainable future for their communities.